Good afternoon and welcome to Stitching with Cindy Box. Today we're going to talk about half square triangles. Half square triangles are used a lot in making star blocks, also in making pinwheel blocks. Also used as corner squares in a variety of different patterns. So learning to do a half square triangle is a good thing to do. There are many different ways to do it, depending on how many you want that will be identical. So let's start with making a single half square triangle. For that, you're just going to want 2 squares of material, put them right sides together, draw a diagonal line, and that will be your stitching line. So you stitch on that diagonal line, and then you just cut 1/4 of an inch away. And after you cut that away, you trim it down, you can press it and have your half square triangle. Now when you make a half square triangle this way, your triangle remains almost the identical size as the beginning 2 blocks. You don't have any shrinkage normally with that process. You might still want to square it up just to be sure. Now the other way to make half square triangles is to make 2 at a time. So again, you want 2 pieces of fabric, 2 squares, and you're going to draw a diagonal line. But this time that's not your sewing line, that will be your cutting line. You are going to sew 1/4 of an inch on one side and 1/4 of an inch away on the other side, and then you will cut down the diagonal, and that'll give you 2 identical half square triangles. You do lose a little bit of size, you do have a little shrinkage, and that is because of the 1/4 inch on each side of the cut line, so that 1/2 inch will be missing. And again, you might want to square these up to be the identical size. Normally when I make these, I try to have at least a 1/2 inch. A lot of times I start with an inch bigger just to give me some room in case it goes funky, and I trim those down. The other way you can make these is to make 4 at a time, and you start with a large square. Well, you could do a little square too, and you draw 2 diagonal lines. This was a 10-inch square that I think it's more like a 9. I guess it's 10 when you get it up there together. Alright, so you start with a 10-inch square for this example, and you draw a diagonal line going the whole way up and a diagonal line going the whole way down. Then you sew around the 4 sides. Go around all 4 sides, sewing 1/4 an inch seam, and then you use that line you drew as your cutting line. Okay, so here's the cutting line, and you just cut right up, and you will have 4 identical squares, half square triangles. You will have 4 that are the same. Just press them down. Usually I like to make a sample when I do this, just to make sure that I have the right size for the project I'm making. So these came out to be 6.5 inches. All right, but you might want to use a different size square to start with and make a practice run. Now here's a way to make 8 squares that are the same way, are the same size, same color, same size. You start again with your square, and then just a second here, get this lined up right. Then you draw your diagonal, and this time you draw the 2 diagonals so that they intersect. All right, and you can go ahead and draw a line here halfway through the side, a little plus sign halfway through, so going halfway across vertically and halfway across horizontally. Now your diagonal line is going to be your guide for sewing. You're not going to sew on the line, but you're going to sew 1/4 inch on each side of the line. That line will then turn into your cutting line. Okay? The other place you're going to cut is on the horizontal and vertical. All right? So here is the cut side and here's the uncut side. Okay? So this is the middle, and you just cut that line, and then you cut this line going across, and you cut your diagonal lines, and that will give you 8 identical half square triangles. There are even ways to make more half square triangles. These are the 4 that I use most readily, but there are other ways too. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. Have a great day. Oh, and I have another little quick video on how to use half square triangles in a wall hanging table topper using a pattern that is one of Missouri Star Quilt Company's triple play patterns. I like the one that Natalie did. They offer 3 different designs. They're free patterns using pinwheels, and this is the pinwheel. A pinwheel uses half square triangles, and it just gives this motion. Alright, so look at that tutorial, and maybe you too will want to make something with a pinwheel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.